Before we dive into our topic today, I want to address two quick questions that I have gotten from our audience that I think are really worthy of discussion. The first one is something that we've talked about in the past, but I want to drill a little bit deeper in there, and it has to do with positive self-talk. And I know we've touched on this briefly before, but the idea of no mind that you share is still so elusive for so many. So given the choice, this particular member wanted to know, isn't self-talk better than the alternative?
Then what?
Negative self-talk.
But just like last time, I'm not sure if the listener heard the last talk or not, but I think the question is largely, it's sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel of a question, because it's kind of like comparing two irrelevant things and asking which one is less irrelevant. Positive self-talk or negative self-talk they're not that different. So positive self-talk, yeah, it might give you a little uptick in terms of how you feel. But whenever you talk to yourself, put it this way. When you try to convince somebody else of something, the other person feels as if he's trying to be convinced. Is that right?
And that's my biggest pet peeve with sales. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. But yes.
And so when you talk to yourself, the fact that you have to talk to yourself means basically your mind, immediately puts up red flags and says, "Oh, I'm trying to be convinced," and therefore it puts up a brick wall, the same as anyone puts a brick wall up when someone tries to sell them something, right? Mm-hmm. The salesman's talk. So self-talk is salesman's talk. It's not real. So the only things that are real are the things that you feel, and the things that are spontaneous and are done as soon as they're done. And then the message comes across loud and clear, whether it's another person or whether it's oneself, that, oh, this person is serious, it's done. So self-talk is these are very low-level concepts. These are very like 101 basic human, juvenile, kindergarten type things that I'm kind of shocked that people who have spent so many decades of their life ostensibly trying to learn about it, and all they've come to is self-talk. They haven't gotten over that little hurdle. It's kind of like you haven't got past your ABCs. So it's kind of silly. There's a whole there's a whole universe of unexplored truths that no one's even knocking on the door. Everyone's still stuck on this little one little step up to the garage door. That it's juvenile.
Well, it's what modern society and culture really programs everybody to do who subscribes to the whole idea of self-help.
Yes, it is. But it's at what you said is absolutely true. What I will say though is that whether the people who are programmed became programmed by modern society, or whether they became, even if modern society didn't program them, something else would have. And the reason is because they are to a large degree programmable. And so we are all in many ways conditioned, but it really takes a particular strand of DNA of a human being to be programmable only to an extent before he naturally stops and says, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I absolutely blame it on society. There's no doubt about it. But then again, society is created by human beings. And so the human beings who create this so-called programming are also the very ones who wish to be programmed. So whether it's the one who was doing the programming or the one who is being programmed, the fact is that the number of people in this world who are neither of those groups is very small. So I can't just blame it all upon just so-called this amorphous, impersonal thing called society.